Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money channel. So today I thought I'd talk about something a little different with regards to the Ripple and XRP ecosystem. This also extends out, guys, to the XLM Stellar ecosystem as well. So if you're a Stellar hodler, you might be interested in this video too. I'm going to talk a little bit about Ripple and XRP, and by extension Stellar XLM, and how even years ago now, I think about 7 years ago, XRP, at least the thought was as such, was going to be set up to transfer value in precious metals, so gold and silver transfers. Now, if you believe in the Great Reset and you believe in all the theories surrounding that, I guess you would have foreseen where we are today with regards to Russia, with regards to China and India, other countries quietly building up their gold reserves over the last several years. And just a few weeks ago, Russia announced that they are going to be tying the ruble to gold. So there's a lot of moving parts here. The most interesting thing that I found, though, was this old article from back in 2015, which I will get to in a second. First, I wanted to start this off with Bill's tweet here. This is Danelle Dixon of the Stellar Foundation. Now, Bill is tweeting about this with regards to the lawsuit. Her arguments as to why XLM is decentralized would apply with equal force to XRP, wouldn't they? XLM does get overshadowed due to the fact that it being forked of XRP and Jed's taco stand behavior, but here XLM in Congress, smooth sailing. This tweeted out by Exanon24 here on Twitter. Just listen to what Danelle Dixon has to say about XLM.
Openness and interoperability in web technologies. It's those same policy priorities that drew me to blockchain, an industry that I believe can learn from past mistakes made in other areas of web development. Stellar is an open, permissionless, decentralized network that is optimized for payments. There is no single entity, including SDF, that controls the code base of the network or its growth. You don't need permission to use this technology. Just like the underpinnings of the internet, it is ready and available for use to anyone. The Stellar platform is a pioneer of tokenization, optimized for fiat-backed asset issuance before stablecoin was even a word. Over the last few years, an ecosystem of businesses and users have built use cases around Stellar-based stablecoins due to their incredible utility to solve many of the problems we see in today's payment landscape.
Okay, so there's about a minute of Stellar's Danelle Dixon talking about the XLM token, why it would be, or why it should be considered decentralized. Of course, XLM in a lot of ways a mirror image of XRP. Bill down here just stating that Danelle Dixon is from the Stellar Development Foundation. She is the CEO. Roger McCarthy down here saying Stellar XLM is a pioneer of tokenization only because they copied the code base of the XRPL. Well, we know the history there, right? Jed McCaleb was the original creator of the XRPL, and then he used his own work to create another payment tool, namely XLM. I'm not going to get into the differences or if it was right or not right in this particular video, but I did want to show you guys this clip of Danelle Dixon talking about XLM in Congress. And just to this point here, what Bill has mentioned, her arguments as to why XLM is decentralized would apply with equal force to XRP, something that I think we've all thought about before. So now let's talk about XLM and XRP with regards to transferring value, namely in the form of precious metals. Now, we're living in a world right now where inflation has taken hold because of a variety of different factors, some of which have derived, or largely have derived, from the beer flu pandemic that has set the economy into a tailspin of unpredictability. And over the last several years, and now more and more, we're hearing about this more and more, countries are seeing the need to safeguard themselves against the traditional fiat currencies with precious metals. So I'm just going to go over a few of these articles here, not going to go into them in detail, but I think they're important to mention just to set up my point later on. So China makes fresh forays into gold mining sector in Tajikistan, and this was from about a week ago. Chinese investors often get generous tax breaks in the country. So China, particularly China, is going into other countries and mining for gold. Why would they be mining for gold? Well, obviously, they are seeing the need for gold, realizing its potential and how valuable it could be down the road. So the enterprise Talco Gold will produce up to 2.2 tons of gold and 21,000 tons of antimony annually, according to government officials. China is by far Tajikistan's main source of foreign direct investment. In 2021, businessmen from China invested more than $211 million in the country, an amount that accounted for nearly 62% of the global FDI figure. Those funds mainly went towards the extraction and processing of lead, zinc, and tin ores and mining of precious and semi-precious gems and metals. So in particular, China looking to mine not just gold, but other precious metals in other countries. The biggest focus for them, though, is of course gold in Tajikistan. I also wanted to just bring up this back from March of this year. India imports 651.24 tons of gold in the financial year of 2020-2021. Says the government. India imported 651.24 tons of gold in the fiscal year of 2020-2021 as compared to 719.94 tons in the year ago period, the government said on Wednesday in a written reply to the Lok Sabha Minister of State for Commerce and Industry. Anupriya Patel said that the imports stood at 982.71 tons in the fiscal year of 2018-2019. Replying to another question, she informed that the import of toys, games, sports equipment from China is showing a declining trend. So not too concerned about the imports of toys and sports equipment. Just wanted to focus on the gold here. You guys can see the importing numbers. Although they have slipped a little bit in 2020, 2021, we don't have the actual figures for the following year. However, you can see how India is also deciding to focus on gold. All this to me speaks volumes considering what we know about Russia and the moves that they recently made last month. So Russia just made a case for owning gold and nobody noticed. So just down here, here's a strong argument for adding some gold bullion to your retirement portfolio right now. And it comes courtesy of Pavel Zavalny, the head of Russian parliament. Zavalny spoke last week on the subject of all the economic and financial sanctions being levied against Russia following the invasion of Ukraine. Most of the coverage of his remarks implied that Russia might respond to the sanctions by switching from US dollars to Bitcoin for international trade. So not only is Russia eyeing gold, they're also eyeing Bitcoin. But a look at the transcript being reported shows something quite different. Zavalny added Bitcoin only at the end of a long list of other currency and trading options, almost as an afterthought. As you might expect, not only is Bitcoin new, ridiculously volatile, widely open to manipulation, and a massive drain on energy in a world facing an energy crisis, but it also offers no guarantee of privacy. So this article being critical of Bitcoin. However, that's not the point that I wanted to focus on. Much more interestingly was Zavalny's main point, even though it has been mostly overlooked. If other countries want to buy oil, gas, and other resources, or anything else from Russia, he said, let them pay in either hard currency, and this is gold for us, or pay as it is convenient for us. This is the national currency. In other words, Russia is happy to accept your national currency, yuan, lira, ringgits, or whatever, or rubles, or hard currency, and for them that is no longer the US dollar. What does it mean, guys? It means gold, so Russia looking like it is going to the gold standard. The dollar ceases to be a means of payment for us. It has lost all interest for us, and he calls the greenback no better than candy wrappers. What will this mean? Maybe nothing or maybe a lot, especially if Russia's lead is followed by countries such as China, India, and others. And I just mentioned India and China in these last two articles here. Countries that may not welcome Washington's ability to control the global financial system through its monopoly power over the global reserve currency. So I talked about this a little bit in videos that I did last month when this news was officially announced. Russia's gold reserves buy Putin a few options. So here's just another article from late March 2022. Russia's gold stash has some value for Moscow, though Western sanctions have frozen a chunk of the country's foreign exchange reserves following its invasion of Ukraine. Vladimir Putin's regime has about $140 billion, guys, of the yellow metal that is beyond the direct reach of sanctions. So another article just kind of stating how much gold Russia actually has and how this is going to make them a powerhouse, because not only do they have the gold, they also have the resources, namely the oil, namely the energy that they are trading or selling to other countries. And just down here, a senior White House official last week estimated bullion makes about 20% of the country's central bank's overall reserves. To make use of the hoard, Russia would likely have to physically move the gold beyond its borders, however. That's why the United States and its allies last week moved to close the loophole. The Treasury Department said any transactions involving gold held by the Russian central bank is subject to existing sanctions, which means anyone who helps convert precious metals into US dollars could also face penalties. So they're upping the game, they're upping the ante. And so what does this mean for Russia? What does this mean for the rest of the world? Well, guys, a few weeks ago, I just did a video about Putin's gold-backed ruble, what it could mean for Ripple and XRP, and what we're seeing with regards to other world governments. Guys, I'll play you guys a clip. It's a little lengthy, but I thought it was important just to kind of remind you guys where we stand here in the middle of all this. Here's a clip from a video I did back on March 29th. Listen to this. This also from BondCrypt XRP. The gold industry is betting that the blockchain will help to keep illicit bullion bars out of the international market. So we're also hearing about this. London Bullion Market Association and the World Gold Council are developing a digital system to track gold through the supply chain. The organization said in a joint statement on Monday, using a blockchain-backed ledger, the Gold Bar Integrity Program will capture the transaction history of bullion from mine to vault. The initiative aims to improve transparency and prevent gold mined by criminal gangs or in conflict zones ending up in bank vaults. So, okay, first of all, let's just take a look at this. Gold has been around for centuries. Why have we not had something in place like this before? Does it speak to where gold is going to go in the future, especially with regards to gold-backed fiat and non-gold-backed fiat currency? The first phase will involve all parts of the gold supply chain from miners to refiners. Okay, so it just explains a little more about how this is going to work. But what really got me interested in this is the fact that they're even doing this, the fact that they even feel like they need to do this. In a time where the economy is so precarious, and in a time when we could see a shift away from the USD as being that reserve currency. I also saw this, guys, from Matthew Liny, gold market to use enterprise blockchain for gold bar integrity. So not just tracking it, but gold bar integrity as well. Part of the same story, but this one taking a bit of a different angle on it. Let me read you guys this down here. 2 startups will initially provide blockchain solutions for the integrity program. Switzerland's Xedras and Canada's Peer Ledger, which use the Corda and Hyperledger Fabric enterprise blockchains respectively. By using permissioned blockchains, participants can feel more comfortable that confidential data will only be available to those who have the right to see it. So we're seeing Switzerland and Canada also realizing that there is a need for this. Let me read you this down here. The international trade in wholesale physical gold depends on confidence. This coming from Ruth Crowell, LBMA CEO. The initiative announced today underlines the confidence that all participants in the market can have in the integrity and accountability of the gold they trade and the gold they buy. This is a major advance in furthering transparency for the common good of the gold industry. So her take on this is not to necessarily thwart criminals and be able to trace gold because, well, you know, there's a lot of criminals that will use gold all of a sudden. But it sounds as though her angle here is to have trust in gold on an international global scale. Which brings me to this, and so I had to bring this up, guys, from Nathaniel C.J. Rothschild, retweeting out Flimflam's tweet here. If this is true, Putin basically just tossed a nuclear hand grenade into globalism, the Fed, and the US dollar. Let me read you guys this, and I think personally this is why we are seeing this move all of a sudden to be able to trace gold on the blockchain. I don't think people realize what just happened over the past few days, so I'm going to try to explain what I am seeing. This coming from Neon Revolt. The Russian central bank pegged 1 gram of gold to 5,000 rubles, currently about $50. At the same time, Putin made it so that Russian gas and oil can only be purchased in rubles, and I recently did a video about that. I'll link it up here in the top right-hand corner. Meaning, Putin basically just pegged Russian oil and gas to gold using paper rubles as a proxy. Meaning, Europe will need to either buy rubles from Putin in gold or order to buy gas and oil, or they will have to buy it directly in gold. So if gold is integral to Russia's financial system, and we, the West, well, I mean, mostly Europe, relies on Russian oil, how is this going to affect these countries? So he continues by saying, which means there will soon be a lot more demand for rubles. Currently, the forex rate for rubles to dollars is about 100 to 1. But with 5,000 rubles now equaling 1 gram of gold and oil being priced directly in gold, you're going to see a massive price disruption in these forex markets in terms of how much gold a dollar can actually still buy. Foreign countries holding our dollar debt notes in reserve will see less of a use for them and will want to start dumping them in order to get something more stable, something which holds more value. So Neon Revolt seeing a shift away from fiat into gold, especially for these countries that rely on Russia. Basically, any currency pegged to gold now will fit the bill, which means those countries like Japan, will be dumping their dollar debt as fast as they can. They're not going to go down with the ship, and they will move into more stable currencies like the ruble, which will have a deflationary effect on the ruble, making it more valuable over time, which means Putin will be able to repeg the ruble to gold at whatever rate he wants down the line. It's 5,000 rubles today. Tomorrow it might be 500 and then 100 and then 10. Essentially stating Putin has the power here because he has the resources. This also means all those excess dollars being dumped by foreign nations are about to come home and cause even worse hyperinflation than we're seeing. Is it any wonder Biden is up on stage pleading with Europeans for regime change in Russia? He's about to have masses of angry and starving people marching through the streets here at home, demanding answers. So is Putin backing the ruble by gold? And how is this going to affect other countries' fiat currencies? Is this going to be the last kick in the US dollar's nads, dethroning it permanently as a world reserve currency? And also, guys, is this why we're seeing such an interest all of a sudden in tracing gold on the blockchain? Okay, and I'm going to leave that there. If you want to watch that full video, I will link it up here in the top right-hand corner of this video. Just giving you guys a bit more context with regards to the Russia gold situation, just because I did go into it in more depth in that particular video. There was also this, guys, that I saw also from about a week ago. France has repatriated all its monetary gold. So over the last few years, the Central Bank of France has covertly repatriated 221 tons of gold between 2013 and 2016. Since then, all its monetary gold is stored in the La Souterraine in Paris. Repatriating all gold is related to France's aim to revamp Paris as a gold trading center. Well, they're claiming that it's going to make Paris a gold trading center. However, I wouldn't be surprised if there were other reasons that they're not mentioning here, or maybe just a lucky coincidence if that was their main focus. But I guess the trend is as such, right? More countries retaining their gold, mining more gold in some situations, importing more gold in other situations, all because, or maybe not because, but these countries are likely going to come ahead because of what Russia has currently chosen to do, because of the position they're in economically, and because of the sanctions the US has put upon them. So why is this going to be great for XRP hodlers, guys? I don't know if you saw this. This is an old article here. Ripple Singapore, the world's first Ripple gold and silver gateway. Guys, this was from back in October of 2015, before many of us were even in the XRP community. Did you know that this existed? Operated by Ripple Gateway Pte Limited, Ripple Singapore is a Ripple gateway that uses the Ripple network to acquire, store, and convert precious metals into any currency. So I didn't know that this has been around for this long. Launched in January 2014, the service is Singapore's first major Ripple gateway and the first in the world that would allow customers to deposit and withdraw gold, silver, and currencies into and out of the Ripple payment network. Users can either acquire bullion directly via the company's bullion counter or indirectly from other users. Users maintain a balance in Ripple Wallet, while bullion are vaulted in Singapore. So there was a protocol already created that is utilizing the RippleNet network to convert precious metal, anything of value, fiat to precious metal in this case, so that customers can now hold either silver or gold bullion. The company has partnered with Silver Bullion Pte Limited to store all precious metals. Gold and platinum are held at the Certis Cisco Center 2 and silver at Ferrari Logistics. Currency balances are kept with Singapore's OCBC Bank, the country's oldest. And here's a quote: "The Ripple Network, a federating protocol for value. We were Bitcoin enthusiasts, but we saw the Ripple Network as a more ambitious project. A federated protocol for value," James Cox, co-founder at Ripple Singapore, said, explaining his motives to launch the service. What SMTP did for messages and HTML did for information, Ripple will do for value. And guys, this again all the way back from October of 2015. Transferring anything of value, in this case, they were already focused on converting fiat currencies to precious metals, namely gold and silver. And so to circle back around, guys, to Ripple XRP and Stellar's XLM, let me just remind you what Quincy here said about the XRP and the XLM tokens, that they are going to provide liquidity. Again, this was from back in June of 2021. If you didn't believe it yet, here's Quincy.
I'll just explain the concept real quick because yeah, not only can you trade on these platforms, this doesn't go just for XRP, this goes for XRP, XLM, and Algorand and XDC. But the reason why Algorand and XDC, the opportunities aren't there as much is because they're not liquidity tokens like XRP and XLM. So the reason why liquidity tokens are important are liquidity tokens are going to be passed around almost like how typical money would be passed around, while smart contract platforms will basically be not quite hodled, but they'll hold on to it to use the technology to run their smart contracts. You see what I mean? So they're not typically going to be making payments with XDC unless they're making payments to another smart contract on the Corda platform in XDC.
So boom goes the dynamite, and not to worry if you do hold XDC or Algorand. Those projects obviously are going to be valuable for their own reasons, but as Quincy puts it, XRP and XLM are meant to be the liquidity tokens. This is why they're so similar. As Quincy puts it, they're going to be passed around like money. They are going to be passed around to transfer anything of value. And even since 2015, the fact that they were already using XRP in Singapore to transfer gold and silver, I think speaks volumes and is going to be painting a very intricate picture to where coins like XRP and XLM will be poised in this financial future, where Putin wants gold for his resources. That's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.